Hello. This is me. I'm going to be streaming a game review of Chang Ho and Mao Chao Chun. This game is fairly old. I think it was. I can look it up. Yeah, it's from March 2nd, 1999. This was for the first game of the LG Cup. And the reason this game is so interesting is this is when Chang Ho was basically on the rise, and he was the #1 player in the world basically at this time. And Mao Chao Chun was the second strongest player. And if you've ever heard about Chang Ho, then you know his style is basically just gives you everything you want. And then he still wins. And everyone's kind of like, I don't know how I lost. I got everything I wanted. That's how he plays. So we're going to look at this game and we're going to see kind of a little bit of his thought process and just how he controls the game without really doing too much. It's really quite interesting. Okay, so Chang Ho is black and he opens. This is a pretty normal opening, and he approaches. Mao Chao Chun typically plays very light, so he plays very far away. Hey, prodigious. He tries to make light shaping. He doesn't try to fight too much in the opening, which is probably pretty good for Chang Ho, because Chang Ho is also not known for his fighting so much as he reads a lot, but he's not known for his fighting. He reads to keep control of the game. So this is a far approach. You typically see the next move is R3, R4. This encloses the corner, and white is almost forced to play at a cheese space extension, or white could back off and play high, and then you might see something like this. This is possible. Black's position is fairly low at the bottom, but after these exchanges, black will get Sente to play on the left, and it's unclear if this is really better for white than playing the normal variation. So black approaches. This move is aiming to make use of the combination down here, as we'll see in a second. White backs off. This is the most peaceful answer, and locally, normally black would respond next by playing here to take the corner. But if black does this, then it's a little bit slow. White could play elsewhere. White could take Sente. So instead, black counter pincers the bottom left to make use of the stone that he just took on the upper left. This is the most normal response. White doesn't want to get sealed in. If white plays somewhere else, don't know where else, then black could seal him in. So white wants to get out, and black backs off to make a formation on the left side. So white pincers the bottom, and this is kind of important. So white's saying white could also take the corner, but then it feels kind of like black is able to expand on both sides, and white has very little room to make more development, but black can keep developing. Like this bottom position could grow. Probably white has to play here next, but then black can get the next move in this corner. If white played here and backed off or something, then black can start making a moyo at the bottom, and that would be very difficult to deal with. So white pincers, black takes the corner, and white seals him in. This is a normal variation. So basically black is just going along with white's plan. This is what white wanted from the J3 stone. And I think white's idea is he's going to use this influence to invade on the left, aiming at this invasion or these weak points to attack the left. So black lives. This move is almost necessary. If you don't play this move, then black can push a hit at H. White can play here, and then black is kind of scrambling for life. This is the next big point. And again, Chang Ho's like, okay, you want me to back off and you want the right? I'll just give you the right. He just takes that. White caps. White's probably worried about this push and cut. If white doesn't play here and plays something else, then I don't know. It's kind of dangerous. I'm not talking about that right now, Jermel. Yeah. But this shape down here could be a little bit dangerous. Moves like this can threaten to cut, and it could become kind of a burden for white to like handle this, right? And black is starting to develop the center on the left, so that's just how it is. So white wants to play here to prevent that. And black takes the upper right corner. This is a move that you would almost never see in a professional game, because it's very slow, and it doesn't actively do anything. Black is aiming at invading on the right, but even if you invade, white can still just run out. It's not that severe. But nonetheless, white answers. Because I think mostly it's just this is the largest place. It makes a lot of points. And if black does invade, he'd have to be concerned, or he couldn't really make territory. So black makes a good exchange, and this gives Lee Chang Ho Sente to take the corner. So up to here, Lee Chang Ho has basically responded with all the most normal moves possible, right? White approached far, black just takes the corner, and white backs off. Okay. Then white approached, or white, then black approached the upper left. Sorry, blinking. White backs off, and then black made his formation on the left. So white gave what black wanted. In exchange, he took the influence in the bottom. Everything is a very peaceful opening. This move is better in this case than here, because after this exchange, there's still a weakness here that black has to deal with. But if you attach and play this Joseki, if you play the normal one, then you have a much more solid base in the upper left, and so you don't need to worry about this invasion as much. White backs off because he doesn't want to make black solid, and he wants Sente. So black defends, and white reinforces the top. So this is just pretty peaceful, and there's only a couple big points left, right? There's this extension at the top, and there's extending at the bottom. But instead of taking a low extension, this is really important. If black took a low extension, this has much less impact on the center. But if you play a high extension, then even though this has vulnerabilities like the slide here and this weakness here, it helps to negate the impact of these stones on the left. Right? If this is low, then white could, in theory, build more in the center, right? After this, and here, white could start building. So he plays high to help deal with that, and white takes the other large point. These are miai basically. So now all the endgame is finished, and black starts playing endgame. It's kind of interesting because at the end of every phase, black is the one who's still maintaining initiative, right? White has no real choice on where to play the next move here. You could play somewhere else as white, but L17 is by far the largest point on the board. It's the last extension. You know, you don't want to make a one-space extension here when you can make a two-space extension at the top. So white plays here. It's almost forced, and it feels like white is still falling into black's pace. Right? So black plays this move. This is a normal endgame technique. White doesn't want to connect. White's trying to break the flow so that white could... black doesn't just force the endgame, right? The normal sequence would be something like this. But then this is black gets Sente, and white gets reduced a ton. So you don't want to do that. You also, this ko is a little risky. First off, black might not answer and save the ko for later, but there's also a ko, and it's risky for both. That's all there really is. And if black doesn't answer, it's not a really big deal, right? White takes, and black still has the corner. White spent 2 moves, and black has sente again to play another move. Maybe here, right? Black got 2 moves for this in exchange for just taking this corner, so it's a pretty good exchange. Black comes back and just plainly, very calmly Ataris. But the benefit of this stone is it has a much bigger impact in the center. So black is playing slowly, and he's falling into what white wants. White's saying, "Okay, I'm going to leave that and come over here." And black says, "Okay, you left it. I'm going to follow up here." Right? It's like, "Oh, you just gave it to me. I'll take it." And then white attaches. I think this move is aiming to separate these 2 stones. If these 2 stones are separated from the upper left, then they can become a target for attack. White right now is actually quite far behind in territory, right? White's only points is on the top and a little bit on the right, and whatever this thing can do. But the right is actually quite reducible, and the top is very low. Black has 3 big corners and almost a 4th corner. If black gets this move, it's like very huge, right? Black gets the corner back. So white needs to do something to regain control of the game. And so that's this attachment. Black extends, right? Because if black plays low, this sequence is a very common sequence. We'll let white take control of the center and separate the stone on the left. Even if black later connects, the center is huge, right? This is a pretty big wall. White could even try doing something like that. So black extends. Black doesn't want white to gain control of the center. White says, "Oh, thank you. I'm going to take the points on the left and separate you." And Chang Ho, he's very like most players would say, "Okay, I want to cut. I want to fight, make myself connected. I want to hane, defensive, but I'm still going to make shape." But Chang Ho is very like, "No, I'll just make shape. You can do whatever you want on the left. It doesn't matter." So Chang Ho is very safe. White's like, "Okay, I'm still trying to attack." And Chang Ho's like, "Okay, I am super safe. You cannot do anything to hurt me." So now white has to come back, right? If white doesn't defend these stones, then there's no way that if white plays something like here, then black could cut and maybe even play something more aggressive. I'm not sure. Right, so black could try attacking on a large scale. Even if these 2 stones don't die, black will come up into this area, which is pretty good because this is also what white's banking on. So white connects. Black peeps at this cutting point. This is a natural exchange. And then black's next move is very difficult to, not difficult, but it's in the essence of Chang Ho, right? Not most, but a lot of players will be like, "Oh, white's trying to build the top, white has a group down here, maybe I'll run out," right? And start trying to build some strength to attack this group or to reduce the top. No, Chang Ho's like, "No, I'm just going to defend." Oh, does he not play that? Oh, okay, he doesn't even defend. He says it's too strong, I don't need to defend. So he takes this point. This is the last big point on the board. White separates, right? White separates these from connecting. And then black makes an exchange. He makes this cut so that this move is sente. If black didn't play this, right, then white might still feel like, okay, I'll defend, but white could also start poking at black shape, and that'd be dangerous. Even if white gets a stone, white can, you know, white's behind, so white's looking for any opportunity to come back. But if it's like this, oops, not there. It's like this, then white might have chances at the bottom. And if it's like this, then white can seal, and black has no eye shape yet. So it's still dangerous. Anyway, it's just a good sequence. It also saves the possibility of pulling back here to make almost an eye. And then black just lives. White reduces, or is aiming to reduce. White is expanding the center in this area and aiming to jump into the bottom with an attachment at P3. That's very normal. So black's like, nope. Oh, I forgot about this exchange. Black makes a cut. This is for Aji. And then he defends. He's like, okay, make a short exchange and then defend the bottom. That's all there is. White's like, well, if you're going to defend, I want more. I don't want to give you as much. So, but black's like, okay, I have enough. Still going to calmly defend. If you look at the board, the territories haven't really changed much. Black still has 3 corners and a half, and white only has the top, and is starting to develop the right. It's really all there is. So white goes here. Black's like, you know what? You didn't answer this cut. Or I'm going to come, you know, now that I have the stone here and here at 04 and M2, the bottom is fairly secure, and my shape is pretty strong. And I have a stone here at Q6. You want the bottom? I'll give you the bottom. And so white runs a little. Black makes a small exchange, and then black comes back. White's like, oh, you know, this is a move for momentum. If white just runs out, then black will lean here. And it kind of becomes this dicey situation where white has to play moves on both sides, and on the right and here. So white just wants black to. White wants to try to defend the right side before coming to help the middle. And white takes the bottom. And black's like, okay, forcing move, then I'll take the center. And white's like, sure, I'll take more of the bottom. And it's this very clean trade, right? Black gives white these stones, and white's like, okay, I'll give you these stones. And there's not much choice in the matter. They could start a fight, but Chang Ho doesn't want to fight, and the fight for Ma Cha-chun would be bad for him. So the pace of the game still falls with Chang Ho. And the idea he's playing with is, even though white gained points here and black lost points at the bottom, black still gained points in the center. Or he gained these stones. And he negated points on the right. He's just playing a very slow paced but calculated game. White's living on the right. And then this is the next big endgame point. I'm not going to review after this because there's not really much to review. After here, it's all basically endgame. Black reduces, and I mean, okay, there's a little bit. Black makes an exchange. He says, I'm going to give away even more points so that I can build the center. Right? White's like, oh, I broke into your corner, but black doesn't really care. Black's like, okay, I got the center. The thing is, black is saying, as long as I can maintain my shape and I don't have to do anything fancy. Review every single endgame point in the exact. Yeah, I'm not doing that. But black is just saying he doesn't have to do anything fancy. As long as he maintains shape and he doesn't lose more points in these exchanges than he needs to, then the game is very simple and he can win pretty easy. So black comes back. This move is usually forcing because black doesn't want to get hunted here because of the shortage of liberties with this cut and this point. But the thing is, this Hana actually isn't that valuable, so black just takes the corner. Because this Hana is not valuable because this Hana aims to take the center, but black has this group on the left. So the center is actually not that valuable. White takes this endgame point, it's the largest point. Yeah, largest point. White plays here because if black plays here because if white played here, it would be sente and threatening. So this is a double sente point. Black lives. White attacks and fixes shape too. If white doesn't play this, there's a possibility black can cut. So black pushes, but after this, there's really not much, and black still has 3 corners and a half, and white has half a corner and a little bit at the top and a little bit at the right and points at the bottom. If you think the bottom and this little thing here is about the same, then black has 3 corners against half the top and the right, and it's pretty clear black's ahead. Black cuts because there's a weakness and white's trying to reduce, but there's not a lot to it. Black just, makes shape. This ko is actually fairly superficial because I don't know why white didn't save. Well, okay, white can't save these stones because he'll die. And I know white started this fight because he's behind and he wants to reduce the center. But again, it's the same case. Black has very strong, thick shape, and the territorial balance is good for black. So any fight white starts is going to be bad. Why am I a friend with it? I don't know. I'm a friend with myself. So any fight white starts is going to be bad for him, but he has to fight or else he falls behind. But black's like, okay, you want to fight? I'm not going to fight. You want to get out? You can get out. You just have to pay me my 4 stones on the right, and you can get out. Not even. It's like you almost have to pay me those 4 stones. White reduces. Black says, oh, you can take these points. I'll take away the points in the center. What's being recorded? I'm recording this on Twitch and I'm going to upload it to YouTube. I thought it'd be a really cool game review because this game is really simple. And the benefit of this game is really about thick shapes. Like, black has thick shapes everywhere, which means he can always have the choice. I'm not reviewing pro game and playing SHO at the same time again. He always has a choice of how he wants the rest of the fight to go. This is like the remarkable thing that Chang Ho brought to Go, was using thick shapes. Oh, they're talking about that. So this is endgame. Black blocks this. White is still trying to find things, but black's like, nope, you can have it. Black has enough. He just preserves his thick shape. Right here, most players would take this stone, but if white Hana is here, black blocks, and white plays here, then this no longer is guaranteed to be alive. So black descends. White secures the center. This is aiming at some cuts. Black takes points. From here, it's mostly it's really all just endgame. It's really all just endgame. But this game is, I think black wins by 4. But it's a pretty clean victory, right? There's never any doubt that black's ahead. Oh no, black wins by resign. Yeah. And there's not really any doubt that black's ahead because black just slowly has more stuff. He took this corner, he took this corner, he takes this corner. This is split. And white now has the top and a little bit here. Like 10 points at the bottom, 10 points at the top, and 5-ish points on the right. Black's upper right corner alone is like 15, 20 points, so that's these two, and his bottom right is more than 5. So it's a very easy, simple game. And the highlight of this game is, there's not really a highlight, but it's that Chang Ho just plays very thick and very solid the whole way through. So he basically just preserves his lead from the start. If I had to question something for Ma Chao Chin. It's that when black plays here, this approach, it's kind of obvious that black wants to make use of the bottom left. So I think white has to do something to complicate it and extend. And then this will get into a totally different game, but it's a lot more difficult for black to just play this peaceful game when white, I mean, he has to at least contest this, right? This opening basically says that black is better than white. So it feels like white never really, he played a little too passive in the opening, thinking that he could outmaneuver black later, but black just never gave him a chance. And so this is one thing to note: when you're ahead in points, you just have to make sure that you don't give away too many points and that your position is just really thick. If your position is thick and you have a point advantage, you can just give away however many points you need to get the game closer to ending. As long as you're up a point, then you win. Okay, so that's half an hour. I think I'm gonna call it here for this video, but I'll be trying to do a short lecture, emphasis on short because I think Go videos are too long, every day, and I'll be uploading them to YouTube and streaming them. I plan to stream every day around 7, so yeah, thanks for watching and hope you tune in tomorrow.